Chancellor, I have the pleasure in presenting a citation of a Professor Torsten Franssons, who will be conferred a degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa at this convocation. Professor Torsten Franssons currently functions as an independent consultant, which includes the functions of the Senior Education Strategist at the InnoEnergy, which is a company that serves as the innovation engine for sustainable energy across Europe, supported by European Institute of Innovation and Technology. He is also the representative for the Royal Institute of Technology, or KTH Sweden, at the European University Network for top international managers for Europe since 2007. Professor Torsten Franssons received his undergraduate degree from the University of Lund, Sweden in 1974. He obtained his PhD from École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne, Switzerland, in numerical modeling of unsteady flow in turbo machines. Professor Franssons has fulfilled several educational, research and society roles and has functioned as a member of board to a number of high-level educational institutes across Europe. Since 1991, he has been the chair of the Heat and Power Technology Division of KTH University, Sweden, one of Europe's leading technical universities. He also headed the KTH Energy Center between 2000 and 2004 and the KTH School of Energy and Environmental Technology from 2005 to 2008. Professor Franssons was elected for a number of consecutive terms to the Board of Directors of the International Gas Turbine Institute, Atlanta, USA. He has been a member of the Council for Industrial Cooperation of the Swedish Emergency Agency Management and was the Vice Chair of the Fluid Machinery section of the Swedish Society of Mechanical Engineers and Swiss chapter of Sigma Z, amongst others. An international program director for several ASME conferences. During 2010 to 2016, Professor Franssons was the educational director of the InnoEnergy Knowledge and Innovation Center of the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, a consortium of 13 high-level universities and 30 companies in Europe established by the European Union. Professor Franssons has also served as a guest professor at his alma mater, École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne in Switzerland, visiting professor at Duke University in North Carolina and Florida State University, both in the United States of America, and guest researcher at GE Aircraft Engines in the USA. Professor Franssons is a regular member of international scientific committees of conferences, including the International Symposium on Unsteady Aerodynamics, Aeroelastic, Aeroacoustics, and in Turbo Machines and Propellers, and the European Turbo Machinery Conference. Professor Franssons organized and installed the international database on unsteady aerodynamics in vibrating cascades between the year 1980 to 1986. This database is still the main source of experimental and numerical results in the area. In 2002, Professor Franssons received the Chevalier de l'Ordre National de Merit Award from the President of France, and in 2003, he received the American Society of Mechanical Engineers Dedicated Service Award. He is a 3-time Best Paper of the Year recipient in the ASME International Gas Turbine Institute. Professor Franssons has designed and installed several international educational programs, including the joint Nordic Master Program in Innovative Sustainable Energy Engineering, the Energy Online Collaborative Swedish Master Program, and the KTH International Sustainable Energy Engineering Worldwide Master Program. The latter program was done in collaboration with 12 partner institutes in Africa and Sri Lanka. Professor Franssons was the chief architect of the partnership, the Open University of Sri Lanka, entered with the KTH Royal Institute of Technology, Stockholm, Sweden in 2008 for the facilitation of offering the KTH Master of Science in Sustainable Energy Engineering program to Sri Lankan students. This program, popularly known as Sea World program, was a parallel alternative that allowed Sri Lankan students to participate in the regular Sustainable Energy Engineering program offered by the KTH Royal Institute of Technology in Sweden at a distance. Students successfully completing the Sea World program were conferred the degree of Master of Science with specialization in Sustainable Energy Engineering from KTH Royal Institute of Technology, Sweden. The first enrollment consisted of 21 students in 2008, and the program was conducted for several batches with varying student numbers until 2016. A total of 117 students have successfully completed this MSc degree. They are presently employed in key organizations in the energy sector as well as in national universities in Sri Lanka. Further, this program was entirely financed by funds from Sweden, and our students did not require to pay a single cent as tuition fee. All these were organized by Professor Fransson. Professor Fransson has been working with the Open University of Sri Lanka for the last 10 years, making a huge contribution to the Department of Mechanical Engineering as well as to the university, which ultimately benefited the whole country. Currently, he is working with the OUSL staff on a new initiative, developing an innovative micro-master degree program in energy storage. Hopefully, we will be able to witness the fruits of this endeavor in time to come. Based upon his achievements and his valuable contributions to the Open University of Sri Lanka, as well as to the field of sustainable energy engineering in Sri Lanka, the Open University of Sri Lanka has resolved to confer the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa to Professor Torsten Henry Fransson at the 31st General Convocation of the OUSL. This award is not only honor to Professor Torsten Henry Fransson, but also it's an honor to the Open University of Sri Lanka to have such a distinguished world personality and a friend in Professor Torsten Henry Fransson to be an alumni of this university. With that note, Chancellor, I have the honor to report that on the recommendation of the Senate, the Council has resolved that the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa be conferred on Professor Torsten Henry Fransson.
The convocation address will now be delivered by Professor Torsten Henry Fransson.
Honorable Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Deans, Heads of Departments, distinguished academic staff members, graduating students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. This morning I had a great honor to be named as Doctor Honoris Causa here at the OUSL, which is a great university that has been promoting open education since its creation in 1978, being the third university in Asia that was opened for this kind of education. This university has since then been tremendously successful and have now 9 regional centers in the country and about 40,000 students in the enrollment. This is a great achievement and great progress, and I would greatly like to congratulate the OUSL and its entire staff for this achievement. I would also heartfully like to thank all the OUSL, the leadership and the staff for awarding me the honorary doctorate. The results over the years that we have commonly achieved for educating students from Sri Lanka towards a master's degree in European universities has been a significant achievement that could not have happened without the foresight and the willingness of the OUSL and the OUSL staff to work towards new environment in a global world. To do this here already in 2005, when the internet was just in its infancy, is a second foresight from the OUSL. I think that as such, the present leadership has followed up on the leadership in 1978 and has, with the futuristic views and exploring new ways towards higher education, in a similar way that it was at the origin. Again, congratulations to the OUSL. Dear graduates, a graduate convocation is a very important milestone in the life of an institution, and it is a great honor for me to be part of this occasion. I would, as you fresh graduates embark upon new, highly exciting careers, like to frame a few remarks towards the Earth's and society's sustainability perspective, perhaps giving you some food for thoughts and perhaps even some inspiration. You live in a divided world, but a world of enormous potential and opportunities. We have all the future destiny of the Earth in our hands. As Earth stewards, we must strive for sustainable development, aim to reduce global injustices, to erase poverty, and ensure full mitigation of climate change. Clean water and energy services are essential to all of these goals. And for this, knowledge is a key. Knowledge accessible to all. Increased knowledge will empower us to manage the Earth's precious resources for the services of mankind. Access to clean, affordable energy and water and appropriate food, all put in a humanitarian, social and environmental context, are main pillars of sustainable development. To overcome social injustices in these areas, education at all levels is a key element. Today the world faces unprecedented challenges. The United Nations has put up 17 essential sustainable development goals for the future, where I specifically like to highlight quality education and affordable and clean energy. These are, together with the clean water and sanitation, essential preconditions for all the other goals. Without education, water and energy services, the world will principally come to a standstill, and the social injustices we today find in the global world will not be reduced. The recent warnings from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change in October this year give clear warnings to policymakers and worldwide citizens that keeping the goal of less than 1.5 degrees Celsius global warming compared to the pre-industrial situation requires very fast actions. The consequences of not reaching this goal can be disastrous for the world, resulting in rising sea levels, more and more weather-related natural catastrophes, and subsequent migration of people between regions. Immediate actions are needed to reduce CO2 emissions for an acceptable climate by the end of the century. Scenarios indicate that we must reach zero net CO2 emission by the mid-century by 2050. This does, of course, not sound very good for the planet Earth. However, the good news is that several actions that would be needed to be done to limit global warming to the 1.5 degrees are already underway. And they need significant accelerate. This requires rapid and far-reaching transitions in land, energy, industry, building, transport, and, not forget, cities. Global net human cost emissions of carbon dioxide would need to fall by 45% from 2010 levels until 2030, reaching net zero around 2050. But we'd also be need to continue on this path and remove CO2 from the air to be able to keep the 1.5 degrees until the end of the century. Highly efficient change mitigation technologies do exist today, but they need to be more implemented and the cost must go down. The IPCC report gives policymakers and practitioners the information they need to make decisions to tackle climate change while considering local context and people's needs. Different sectors will need to make strong commitments. Energy, agriculture, and transport have significant reduction to do. But the climate change mitigation shall not only be put upon engineers and technicians. In this perspective, all you fresh graduates have, independent upon the academic discipline, a possibility to make impact. Citizens must be informed. Local and national politicians need to be pressured towards actions. Political ambitions must be pushed forward and accepted by citizens. Corporates need to come forward to step up to mitigate climate change. There will be in the future be significant more efficient methods than today, but already the existing technologies can mitigate and largely solve the greenhouse gas problems we face. One important example is the transfer towards renewable energy. It starts to become cheaper to install solar power than fossil-fired units in several countries. We should not also forget that the global average solar radiation per square meter and per year can transform the same amount of energy as 200 kilograms of coal. However, still about only 1% of the electricity in the world comes from solar power. There's a huge potential for this, as well as a huge potential for biomass, which is considered to be clean from the CO2 perspective, as long as we continuously plant new plants for capturing the CO2. The question then comes up, what can we commonly do? The technology exists, as I mentioned, the awareness is present in a number of governments, but the urgency seems to be missing. As solutions do exist, it's a matter of implementing and using these technologies. For this, education at all levels is needed. School children need to become aware of the Earth's resources, how they can be saved. Citizens have to become aware of what can be done on a day-to-day basis and exercise their power in the democratic processes to combat climate change. Engineers have to be educated towards implementing the latest technologies into their construction, and politicians must be educated towards the global financial impact of not acting on time and take the responsibilities towards their future generations. This brings me to the second important topic I want to raise, namely quality education. This is a topic which is very fitting for you as fresh graduates to reflect upon. Starting with the question of how you think your education could have been even better than what you have received. Basic education should of course be a human right and is gradually becoming so in most countries. The higher education is, although global, not easy to handle, mainly as it is through national accreditation system and as different cost models exist in different countries. Furthermore, the teacher of today is used to teach in a classical ex-cathedra way by having a significant monologue in front of a number of physically present students who often listen without discussing. However, the appearance of massive online open courses distributed globally through special channels like, for example, Coursera, edX, FutureLearn, has drastically changed the educational landscape. Although there is not an education revolution going on, it is a very fast evolution. Earlier academic and professional education was clearly separated. This is not anymore the case. Students nowadays can learn from different global sources at virtually no direct cost, apart from the dedicated time and intellectual efforts needed from their own side. These drastic educational changes make many highly reputed universities going into the online market, offering various courses as well as master and bachelor degrees, which cost at the present time can be 25% or 50% of the cost of the on-campus. These open significant possibilities for global students to receive high-quality education at a significant lower cost than the traditional on-campus programs. We have only seen the very beginning of such an evolution. One often neglected part of this will also be the selection and admission process. New ways of accepting students to university courses will change as a result of the academic accreditation of MOOCs as these become of increasing quality. The main important issue in this process will be to ensure that the high quality of the intended learning outcomes of individual courses as well as programs, and ensuring corresponding and academically appropriate assessments. As such, MOOCs will soon be accepted also as giving academic credits and will thus open up for receiving accredited university education from non-university educational providers. A second very important trend, and one with significant potential, is the team-based societal challenge education. This is another step away from the traditional teaching in the sense that the learners are presented with the societal challenge in the beginning of the studies and learn the necessary topics as they go along, just in time when the knowledge is needed. This gives the learner a much higher motivation as they immediately understand how they can apply the knowledge, and it also corresponds to how graduates will later engage in the working environment. Of course, the teacher must take care to ensure that the education remains broad towards all other applications, creating significant new ideas and innovations. In this perspective, it is also easy to imagine, but very, very difficult to realize and implement, that students can find their own learning pathways away from the classical one-size-fits-all module that we are using in most universities in the world today. This implies that it will be needed for teachers to work together in new ways, also sharing and together develop educational material instead of individual teachers developing material by their own, reinventing the wheel every now and then. This can, for example, be done through the creation of online repositories of shareable learning units, where both teachers and students can find reusable learning units for individual pathways, and learners can receive micro degrees in different areas to enhance their careers. The human brain is slow to adopt new technology, but the evolution with computers is going fast. Internet use, also for school purposes, is going down in the ages. In Sweden, 79% of all children use today internet before they're 2 years old. And when they are 10 years old, they use regularly internet in the schoolwork. University teachers of today are still in the old paradigm that they shall be the providers of the basic knowledge. But if this traditional knowledge is already available outside of the universities, what will then the purpose be of the university? And more specifically, what will the role of the teacher be? The traditional teaching must definitely change. Exactly how is not known, but the tendencies at the present time go towards much shorter courses, ensuring that there will be significant rewards in the direction of gamification and scenario buildings. The teacher will become more like a guide, a coach, a mentor, who will not be teaching, but rather setting up the educational framework around the intended learning outcomes and around the assessment of the student or the learner's requested knowledge, skills, and competencies. Systems like adaptive courseware have grown increasingly popular in an alternative to large traditional classes. In this system, students first encounter materials outside of the class, often through short video lessons and readings. They take quizzes that assess their understanding of the material, and depending on the results, the courseware either advances them to the next lesson or provides supplemental instruction on concepts they do not grab yet. The exam side is also rapidly changing, and simple exam questions can today be handled automatically. Furthermore, artificial intelligence will step in, take over manual corrections of exams, and at the same time offering recommendations to learners of how to close the gaps of missing knowledge. Machines can already grade multiple choice tests, and they are very close of being able to assess written responses as well. All these steps will allow students to study at their own pace and frees up instructors' time in class to instead have in-depth intellectual discussions with the learners, That's going from quantity time to quality time and personalizing the learning process. Although education might be a bit slower to the adoption of machine learning than other branches, the changes are beginning and will come. It is expected that artificial intelligence in US education will grow by more than 45% from 2017 to 2021. Stanford University, one of the most prestigious universities in the world, has had a significant internal discussions over the last few years about the future of the university as a whole. They have exploited different scenarios, each groundbreaking as towards a major shift from the traditional undergraduate education in disciplines towards something new. So far, this something new is unknown. They do not know where they want to go, but they're exploring a number of different opportunities and possibilities. This indicates that many major universities worldwide presently struggle with what their role will be in the future. Well, during the 40 years of information age, we have told the computers what to do. With advances in artificial intelligence, we can feed computers giant data sets, and they can draw some inferences of their own. The first step will be fully automatic assessment, but guidance systems where the computer directs us towards missing information will not be far away. And once this has happened, there will be a competency management in which learners can themselves, with the guidance of artificial intelligence, select their own learning paths, receiving scores, badges, and micro-credentials, going into full degrees, even outside the university settings. Questions like what might be the right balance between the teachers and the technology will have to start to be seriously considered and discussed. This shift of teachers from knowledge providers to coaches, mentors, and discussion partners will also change the perspective of who will be teaching at the universities. Already today, non-academics are invited to university classes to talk to students about their work and experiences. This will become significantly more common, and as such you, fresh graduates, should aim to keep the contact with the university. You can yourself become the guides and mentors towards the future students. We can of course not say what the future will look like, but based upon the technology progress and the speed of society, it is a safe bet that the lifelong learning with a person going back to school to take formal classes will increase. The majority of employees will not work in a lifelong learning employment as the previous generations have done, and companies will more and more be looking for fresh blood to revitalize their environments. Come back to school, explore new courses, and work with the OUSL to share your future experience into a modern educational setting for the benefit of future students. On the other hand, the artificial intelligence will also be prone to manipulations, and it is vital to ensure that it is used for the benefit of society and not as a manipulation tool from organizations and governments. Also here, your direct academic sincerity is needed. In closing, let me extend my warm congratulations and greetings to each one of you. The degree that you have just received is one stepping stone in the learning pathway towards continuously increased knowledge, skills, and competencies. As you set out on the next steps of your journey, and as you cross many more milestones that mark your achievements, I'm sure that you will proudly recall the opportunities that the OUSL gave you and how it empowered you for the success. Make sure that you add your personal qualifications while keeping the academic integrity and devotion at the very highest level. Keep the moral compass high and ensure ethical approaches in all lines of work and duties. Join forces in multidisciplinary teams to address the important societal challenges expressed in the UN Sustainability Goal. You, as fresh graduates, have a privilege to participate in the development and act as Earth stewards towards a sustainable future for mankind. Good luck, and thank you very much for your attention.
I declare this convocation closed.